Hi guys, Alex here with Inside. Today I'm going to guide you through Costa Mare from Ellington in Al Marjan. Those of you who've been watching know that I've been talking about this project for the last month and a half before anyone else even knew it existed for the most part. Now that most of the materials are out, I wanted to create a separate update video to guide you through the project, to explain maybe some of the nuances so that you can evaluate for yourself whether it's good for you from investment standpoint. Let's be honest, most properties in Iraq are for investment. Most people buying there are investors, they're not end users. I think that that's the main difference between Iraq and Dubai. In Dubai, you have people who are living in these locations, you have families living there. In Iraq, that dynamic is different because it's mainly a tourist destination, who are people who are coming there for a vacation. That's not to say there aren't people living there, there are. However, that percentage is significantly smaller than it is in Dubai. I would say maybe 10-15% of the market in Iraq will be people living there long term, and the rest will be investors. What does this mean? And how do you actually determine whether something is a good investment? Stay tuned throughout the video so I can explain to you in fine detail of what actually makes this a good investment or not, and so you can evaluate for yourself. Let's dive in. The project is called Costa Mare. We've known about the location from my last video for a while, and with some clients, we already had EOIs for over a month. Here's the islands blow up. So you have the Wynn Island over here. You have Costa Mare, their prior project Playa del Sol, and Cala del Mar over here. Previously, neither of the projects from Ellington were on the beach, and what makes this one different is it's the closest to the casino, first of all, and by the way, location is the key here, that you can walk to the casino. It's about a 10-minute walk from Costa Mare to the Wynn. And of course, having its own beach. As expected, there are two reasons why prices have gone up significantly since Ellington's prior launches, where before they were between 2,000 and maybe 2,500 per square foot. Here, it's between 3,000 and 3,500. The reason is twofold. One, the project is obviously on a beach and the location is closer to the Wynn, so that drives up the price of the land and that drives up the price of the project. And two, a couple months ago, the UAE government officially gave the commercial gaming license to the Wynn. So this means from an investment standpoint, a certain layer of risk was eliminated, meaning the casino is definitely happening and it's definitely going to have gaming. So of course, prices after that, it makes sense that they increased. And if you compare to where Iraq was a year ago, we had prices that were 1,800, 2,000, 2,200 per square foot, and now it's 3,000 plus. So it's a 50% increase in 1 year, guys. And by the way, for my investors, when we looked at models, I was estimating 15-20% annual growth conservatively and telling them that it might be an upside. So those investors are going to be happy now. And that doesn't mean that the opportunity is gone. My estimate is that it will go to between 5,000 and 7,000 dirham per square foot. So realistically, it's still a good time to get in right now. Let's just talk about the specifics. As always, there are nuances. Taking a deeper dive into the project, we have some existing hotels already on the island, just for those of you who haven't been there. That's what the fireworks look like in Iraq. And by the way, right now, there's already a 90% occupancy rate on the island. Yes, year round. And this is before there's anything there. There's sure some hotels, golf course, some restaurants, it's nice. But once the casino launches, it's going to be significantly higher. And so for estimates, when we're looking at rental income, how do we estimate it? We take an average daily rate, we multiply by 365 days, we multiply by the potential occupancy rate. In this case, I think 70% to 90% is reasonable, even though it will be higher. And then you take out 20% for a company that's going to be managing it. And that's how you end up with a potential ROI. And if you look at it, you come up with about 10 to 15% net to investors here in terms of potential rental income. Why is this important? Because first of all, I think Iraq is going to be the highest yielding rental rates in the UAE. We'll see how that pans out. Why? Because you have, I've mentioned this before in my videos, you have a total of 27,000 units on the master plan for Marjan at completion between hotels and residences. And you have between 300,000 and 400,000 plus monthly visitors to the area projected. So you have 10 times more people coming than there are units available. So the math is simple. And what kind of units are going to be rented? It's not going to be studios from my perspective. It's always going to be larger units because there's fewer of them. And so you can set pricing differently. I don't recommend studios or one bedrooms in general for investment because you're competing with hotels. Hotels will win every time because people are just going to value the convenience. Ellington's project has some of the nicest, most extensive amenities that I know from any developer, so it will come close to hotels, but still, when you have a lot of competition across one bedrooms and studios, realize that it's just going to be that much more difficult to exit. And if you need to pull the money out in the next week or day or month, it's going to be harder with a one bedroom or a studio than it will with a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 2-bedroom, etc. Because the clientele that's coming to RAK is, first of all, mainly going to be families because they're traveling there for a vacation. And 2, it's going to be very affluent people. There's a reason that they're adding a private jet terminal to the RAK International Airport. So you have to understand the target demographic here and plan to buy accordingly. Let's keep going. The Wynn is already 40 or 50 floors constructed. These are recent photos of the construction progress. So it's coming along. It will be opening in Q1 2027. And sometimes when people ask, well, what about other casinos? Look, the Wynn has exclusivity for now, and it's between 5 and 10 years. So realistically, if you were investing $4 billion into a project, would you not put in a contract clause that says you have exclusivity? I know I would. And so if there were other casinos coming, first of all, I think it won't be until after 2030 or 2035. And 2, I think they will have a incremental additive effect to tourism to the region rather than a cannibalization effect taking away tourists from the Wynn. So at least for the next 3 to 5 years, it's safe to invest here. No other casinos are going to be happening. If they happen anywhere after that, likely Dubai, not Abu Dhabi, because Abu Dhabi is one of the most conservative Emirates in the UAE. So I don't see a casino happening there. It's most likely going to be somewhere in Dubai. But by that point, we'll decide with my clients, because I'm working and managing their portfolio, we'll know this in advance and we'll reallocate capital, we'll exit at the right time, and we just put the capital elsewhere. So not to worry. This is what I was talking about with the tourism projection numbers, because the Wynn ran detailed studies for how opening casinos around the world affected tourism flow. And that's why when you have a projection of between 4 and 5 million visitors after the casino opens, that's where the numbers I'm talking about come from, of supply versus demand, and why the prices in RAK are going to drastically increase. And by the way, there's now an entire master plan on the mainland outside of RAK that will expand beyond just the casino. You have a aqua park being built here on View Island in the center. So you're going to have a casino, a conference venue, a concert venue, luxury shopping, beachfront resorts, you have beach clubs, world-known DJs, Michelin star restaurants, and aqua park all in one place. I think you're starting to get the sense that it's bigger than just gaming, and why I so firmly believe in this area. And most of my investors who've been investing professionally for decades do as well. Let's take a deeper look. I had some, let's say, when you look at this arrangement, you can tell that, look, they've done the most they could with the area that they've had, and the spacing is, how shall we put it, tight. So that means there's only specific units that are going to have open views, and I've already discussed with the developer which buildings are going to be where and what's their flooring. So you have to be careful which units you're picking, because you might be blocked. My recommendation is always 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms as a backup, 4 bedrooms I think will also be good. So there's a total of 943 units, and right now only Tower 2 and 3, these 2 in the back, have been released. And what's going to happen to building 1 and 4? Well, for one, they're going to be more expensive because they're on the beach. And building 1 is just standalone by itself, and it's going to be more private, and the residents of the other 3 buildings cannot access the amenities from building 1. So once again, justification for a higher price. It's likely that they're going to release everything together on March 10th. That's when the launch date is. So even if you're watching this later, there still might be cancellation units, so you can reach out and I'll help you find the best possible options. But just so you have a sense of the layouts. We have the beach. Here we have the arrangement. The casino is just over here on the top. And there's quite a bit of amenities, from numerous pools to a paddle court to upper level kind of observation decks and swimming pools. Why is this important for amenities? Because when tourists are traveling there, they're going to be using Instagram, social media. What do you think is going to attract other visitors? It's going to be social media photos. It's going to be word of mouth. And so when you have Instagrammable spots that are beautiful, it's important versus buildings that have very basic amenities. Those are going to be more difficult to rent out. So you guys need to think this through to recognize the better the spot, the better the view, the better the higher end the amenities, the easier it will be to rent this place out just because it's easier to market. Same thing for resale, by the way. It's how you advertise something when you have an open view, which is another reason I recommend larger units, because a building is not designed for studios and 1 bedrooms to have good views. It's designed for 3 bedrooms and higher to have good views, just because of pure how it's monetized. And so when you have a larger unit, it's a lot easier to exit. The liquidity is higher because we can advertise it as, open sea view. And as soon as you have that, a property that doesn't have something like that is going to be more difficult to get in front of the eyes of potential buyers. Just helping you think ahead. We have a clubhouse, a kids play area, a triple height fitness studio, an indoor pool. You have a lot of numerous walking and seating areas, even a jogging track. They have separate steam rooms and sauna rooms for men and women. They have a special floor. They call it a celebration floor. It's funny. I'm like, you could celebrate getting one of these apartments if you're lucky enough. I like their wellness and fitness center facilities. The entire building is inspired by RAK nature and geography, which is another reason I've always liked Ellington projects, because it's not just a random design. There's always some sort of inspiration that is tied to the cultural heritage of the place where it's built. And for me, that resonates strongly. The lobby is beautiful with a glass ceiling and really fine detail throughout. It's also 12 meters high, so that's quite amazing. You have a separate space for yoga, for dancing classes. You have a stretching zone there on the right. You have wellness amenity with spa, spa facilities. You have a couples massage room. You have some really interesting infrared light therapy, ice maker for the sauna. You have quite a lot of things here that make this amenities-wise really impressive, I think. And you have an immersive dining experience where you have a bar and you can order catering with beautiful view of the casino and the water, where you can host parties, have birthday events. My sense is this is always going to be rented out. Place for teens, cinema theater, nursery, pretty much anything you can think of. They'll even have staff to take over to watch your children while you go shopping or do something else. There's not many developers that actually have this level of amenities. You have 3.2 meter ceilings throughout, which is higher than average. Built-in appliances. Ellington does not do furnished, by the way, because some people ask. That's a rarity, and that's okay, because their amenities are already quite nice. So as I mentioned, it's going to be between 3,000 and 3,500 per square foot. And yes, that's higher. So people who came in a year ago, they're at an advantage, which makes sense. And prices are going to continue going up. There's still room on the beach in RAK for maybe 15 developments, and outside of beach areas, maybe another 20. So there's still probably around 30 or 40 projects that are going to launch in RAK over the coming year or year and a half. So the island will be actively developed, and that's why the prices with every launch, they are going to continue to increase. So getting in now helps you actually make more money. So it's kind of a no-brainer. And if you think of the pricing for Ellington 1 bedrooms, I don't love that they decreased the sizing of the 1 bedrooms. They're about 630-ish square feet. Before, Ellington used to make 850, 1,000 square foot properties. So you can sense that, as a business, they're starting to kind of maximize revenue and maybe work with the location that they have, which they paid a lot of money for, to maximize their revenue. They also have a high number of studios in the project, like 200, where normally it's 20 or 30. So I don't love that necessarily, because it just alters a bit the types of people who are going to stay there. But there's quite a lot of high-end amenities, and I like the 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms plus. And there are specific units in the floor plan where we'll be able to take a look together. And that's going to be a custom conversation every time, because that's part of my value add, is to help you pick the right unit. Because even on the same floor, one unit can sell in one day and another we won't be able to exit in 6 months. And so when people go directly to developers or work with most agents, they're just going to sell them everything that they have. I've seen it too many times where people have an amazing project, but a terrible unit that we have to sell at original price and still can't sell it simply because they didn't think that through, or the person just sold them something just to make a commission. This is where my clients who work with me know this is where I'm different. I'd rather you not invest anything. I don't need the money, like I'm good. And so for me, it's more of a long-term relationship. Where I want to make sure you actually make money and we make money together. That's the only way it works. So from this standpoint, let's come back to the pricing. One bedrooms, probably between 2 and 2.5, 2.6 million. Realistically, this means 2.3 to 2.6 for a good view or a decent view. Two bedrooms between 3.5 and like 4-ish. 3 bedrooms, estimate between 5 and 5.5 for a good unit, and 4 bedrooms higher still. I'm not even going to mention studios, as I don't think it's a worthwhile investment. So if we look at that, does it make sense to invest here? Yes, assuming it's the right unit. And also, if we look at the payment plan, it's quite aggressive at 70-30, which is starting to match the rest of the other projects on the island. So a year ago, 50-50 was the standard in RAC, sometimes even better, like 35-65 I've seen in some cases. And those still exist, by the way. But 70-30 is starting to match the market in Dubai. And so for most people, this is going to be the case. For my clients, I'm going to modify the payment plan because I will use my connections, which I have very good ones with Ellington. I know I can modify the payment plan. I know I can get the best possible units at allocation for my clients. And also, I know exactly which units we need to go after that maximize liquidity and appreciation, which is a pretty important thing. So overall, this project, do I wish the prices were lower? Well, yes and no. On one hand, it's easier to sell when people believe it's a low price. At the same time, I'm confident that the prices will continue to increase quite a bit beyond where they are now. So I still think it's a good investment. From a rental standpoint, for short-term rentals, I think that's great. There will be no long-term rentals in RAC from my perspective, almost none. People are either going to own it outright or they're going to be doing short-term rentals. Because the yields are going to be very high in the area, I think that's a benefit, as it will help us to resell. The delivery is Q3 28, so about a year and change after the casino opens, which I actually think is a good thing, because by that point there will be an established track record of rentals on the island, and that will make it easier for investors who are going to be buying from us on resale to then make a decision to invest. So I think from an investment standpoint, appreciation and rentals, it's great. End use, we could look at some of the larger units if you want to have a place here, like a summer home or a winter home for your family. There are some good options. And overall, it just shows that the trajectory of prices continues to increase. This is maybe Ellington's last project here in Al Marjan and their 5th one overall. So the quality will be high. The amenities are fantastic. You can walk to the casino. So all in, I would give it a buy rating, if you will, maybe 4.5 out of 5 stars, somewhere around there, just dropping a little bit of a half a star because it is a little bit tight in terms of spacing, but otherwise I think it's going to be a phenomenal project. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. You start to understand how to view real estate investments, especially here in the UAE, and what things to pay attention to, what unit sizes are better than others, and how that basically how view and unit size impacts your returns, and it does quite significantly. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm happy to work with you. Please reach out. Make sure you say it's for Alex. And I always choose to work with the people that I work with. And so that means I value people who can communicate openly, transparently, and are ready to work together, basically, who can commit, who trust their intuition, and who are also ready to put their trust in me to help guide them along the way so that we can both grow and make money together. And that's the way that I view my client relationships. It's always a partnership. I will be happy to work with you guys, whether on this or a different project, as there are always specific nuances to your situation. It's never a blanket size answer. I will never say you should just buy this, because until I know exactly what drives you, why you want this, what kind of returns you want, it's impossible to recommend something. So once again, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your support, and you're watching. You can leave your comments, you can reach out. Looking forward to connecting with you. Happy investing. My name is Alex, and I'll see you next time.